Well, YouTube, actually, I want to start with YouTube because that's the thing that's most fascinating to me is like a giant sea change in online video is the whole idea of it becoming, in industry lingo, an MSO, like basically a cable provider, the equivalent of a Comcast or a DirecTV in the sense that you go to YouTube and then there are channels on it that you can go to that have a specific type of programming. And that's something that's really taken off in the last couple of years, this idea of channels. And what I love about that is that that's where it starts to get monetizable. You know, a friend of mine just took a job at a company called Dance On that it takes dance programming from all over YouTube and funnels it into one channel, and then you can sell to people who want to buy dance programming, the 50 different top producers of dance programming, and then they do some of their own original content, bringing in bigger names to give it a little bit more of a profile. But for every one of those, there's like 50 others of doing that kind of thing. And to me, that's super fascinating because then you start to get past the digital dimes issue, where maybe you're selling it at a lower amount because you can't really sell tons of pre-roll video. You're selling little pop-ups and the slide-overs and all that kind of stuff, which sell at a lower price point, but you can do it at scale. And so there's real money behind it now. And it's not just selling on demographics, it's selling on a psychographic. It's the type of person that wants to watch this, that has a passion for a certain area. Some brand marketers want to go after passion areas and not just after demographics. So it's creating that opportunity to sell on both types of things. And I think they've glommed onto something really smart, I think, in supporting these different channels. And I think YouTube is going to start to look pretty different over the next 5 years as it goes more down that direction. LinkedIn, I think, is a little different because I think of LinkedIn as like a trade publication equivalent, you know? It's a different business model, but the thing that's cool about LinkedIn is it's really hard online to find people of a high socioeconomic status, you know? And LinkedIn is like fundamentally you're going after professionals. You don't get people, you know, like that's who wants to be on LinkedIn, is people who want to network, people who are more well-educated, professionally oriented. There is a type of company that wants to find those people and promote to them. And I think that now that they've hit critical mass, you know, you're starting to see some advertisers on that who are pretty big names, and then they've got a whole marketplace for, you know, job hunting and resume searching and, you know, and recruiting and that kind of thing that costs money. So again, they've got a few different revenue streams in terms of the subscription model and, you know, job recruitment and advertising that allow it to grow bigger. But I think of it as a much more niche kind of thing, and I've always wondered if LinkedIn was going to go more down the route of really getting social media right, because I don't think they're there yet. I don't have that feeling that I want to go on LinkedIn and have a conversation, and I've tried to, in different organizations that I've been part of, create a dialogue there, and a couple have worked, but for the most part it comes across really self-promotional, and it's not an honest conversation. So it hasn't taken off in that way because it comes across as I'm marketing me and not I'm going to be honest and have a real two-way conversation with you. So to me, the business model is more just the people who register for it.
One question, but if
sure. No, that's cool.
I had a money question.
Money question, okay.
I'm seeing the trend is going into more monetizing high-speed internet through mobile companies and through telecoms and internet providers, and being able to capture more money by providing the way that people can get more content.
Like 4G and that kind of thing?
That kind of stuff. And so as it goes more in that direction, how can people who actually make the content, the ones that are providing that value and providing what advertisers want people, how can they sort of tap into it? Like,
yeah. Okay, so for the camera, the question was about how faster mobile broadband impacts content creators, basically. Is that the idea?
Yeah,
and then what
people who provide the access to the content are going to take the lion's share of the profit and say, well, we have customers hostage, or we can charge you $20 a month, $30 a month, $50 a month. You know,
well, I think, yeah, I think that the providers like the Verizons of the world are going to make their money off of the subscriptions. I mean, they've already done it. Like, it used to be unlimited, packages gone, you know? That's going to, I think, go away in household, too. I think that's already a conversation of are you going to have to pay for additional bandwidth or faster speeds at home. I think the industry kind of feels it has to go that way or they're going to start to lose money because people are consuming so much bandwidth now that they have to make money at it. And as much as I don't like it as a consumer, I understand it as a business that you have to do that. I think for content creators, it's going to open up a lot of doors. I don't think that the Verizons of the world, the AT&Ts, are going to try to play in the content game. It's a whole business they don't understand that they'd rather partner with. So I think that's still going to come through apps and through mobile web. The difference is you're going to be able to do so much more because it's going to be so much faster. You know, and I think ultimately, 10 years down the line, all web is going to be mobile web. I mean, I think that's where we're sort of headed with things, is that it's going to get fast enough that it all collides, you know? And the thing that's so interesting to me is that a lot of people use mobile devices at home. So we think of them as being things you take out of the house, but actually something like 70 to 80% of iPad use is inside your house. I mean, it's a really high number. Like most people use their iPads at home, in their living room or in bed. There's like a huge number of people that go on their iPads in bed, and like a fourth of people, iPad owners, use their iPad in the bathroom. I mean, like, it's hilarious, like some of the use of this stuff. But it's mobile within your house a lot more than it's mobile out of home, so that's why I think we're gonna see that intersect. But from a content creation standpoint, I think it's gonna open up to much more interactivity. It's gonna open things up to a lot more video that sucks up a lot of bandwidth, because it's gonna be faster. The challenge is that I think there's still gonna be a need to optimize that, because people are going to be paying per bandwidth. You know, you're going to be paying per megabyte or whatever. So I think there's going to be a need for content creators to think about, I don't think it matters from the storytelling perspective of it, but I think it's going to matter from a technology side of it, actually. Like, how do we condense videos so that it streams quickly, because people are going to have to pay extra if they go over their bandwidth limits. I think that's going to become a dialogue, but I don't think it's going to hit content creators, other than you're going to have to think about how to be clever in a shorter period of time, maybe. But that's already happening. You know, that's the nature of mobile. I don't think it's going to affect content creators, other than to open up the doors for being able to do more cool stuff, because things are going to get faster. That's my take on it.
Has there anything in particular that genuinely shocked you with how quickly it took off? Because there was data to support it being the other way, and I'm sure you have a million.
The iPad.
Was there?
The iPad.
Really? The
Absolutely,
iPad?
yeah. And the reason is not data, actually. The reason is price point. I was like, that's a lot of people to very quickly buy something that costs $600 to $800 for the higher end one. That's what people were buying, you know, for something that's additive. You know, it really didn't replace. You know, if you're working at a computer, you can't use your iPad for all that. You still have your computer. You know, it was an additive purchase, and it's something that hit with people who couldn't really afford it, and it still took off. And I found that fascinating, and I had all sorts of debates with my friends before about whether or not it was going to take off, because they were positioning it as an e-reader. I'm like, it'll never take off as an e-reader.
Right.
It can't be an e-reader when a Kindle's $200. You know, I don't think it will take off as an e-reader. That's too high a price point. What I didn't get that I get now is the analog nature of it, the touch, feel, sensibility, and how important that is to people, and the ability to take mobile, which, you know, your smartphone screen, and make it big enough that you actually could consume video. I mean, that's what made the iPad take off, is video. You know, and it's not just replacing it as a magazine. I don't think the iPad works without video. So it was just all the different apps and all the companies that got behind it to create apps to consume video, because it started to replace and or coexist with television in the home. It's one person's watching the TV and the other person's on their iPad watching video with headphones in. You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that, but to me, the adoption rate of that shocked me. I thought it would be much slower to take off because it was being introduced at such a high price point. And it speaks to the brand strength of Apple.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think any other company could have pulled that off. You know?
We have time for one final question.
Do you have any thoughts on the direction of subject matter for TV shows? I mean, I just think there's some amazing shows out there now. I've become rather addicted, which is a good thing because I'm an actress.
Yeah.
So I need to be watching.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of topic subjects?
Interesting. Well, you know, it's funny. I brought this up like 3 times now, but two things. One is it kind of goes in cycles. So what I've often found is that people like lighter fare when the economy's bad. They like heavier fare when the economy's good. You know, it actually trends opposite. So you see sitcoms taking off during the recession, and you see dramas kind of coming back up during like better economy. That's not holistically true. They're still both in both economies, but you do see everyone's like, the sitcom's back. I'm like, no, the recession hit. You know, and if you look at it over time, it's like the sitcom never went away. It just got smaller, and then it got bigger again when people needed to laugh. You know, so that's the first thing I'll say. I think the big trend I've seen over the last 10 years is that more informational stuff has moved towards digital. It's moved towards mobile, and it's moved towards the internet. So what's working on TV now is more entertainment fare, and that's why, you know, a show like TMZ, which is fundamentally telling you some news, has to be funny and entertaining, because the breaking news part of it broke 6 hours ago on the internet. you know, it's old news, and it's been a challenge with local news too, is that they broke all their news earlier in the day, so everything's a follow-up, everything's more investigative. And that's why there's so much punditry in cable news now, because the news already broke. So it's no longer breaking news on air. So that's like, from a topical standpoint, the big thing I see changing is that TV is becoming more about entertainment, which is good for you as an actress, because they have to go more down that path. That sort of nature of using TV to inform has moved more towards digital platforms over time. That's been giant sea change over time. The challenge, though, is that it's gone towards unscripted. They don't necessarily have the budgets to do everything scripted still, so it's moved things more towards an unscripted environment where you don't have a cast to pay. But there's still storylining. I mean, those of you who work in it know that happens.